Education generally attempts to measure our knowledge, but if you don't get straight A's in school, does that mean that you're unintelligent? If you're creative, it could simply mean that you have a different learning preference. In this video, we'll check out learning tips for creative people. Hey creative cats! Through creative conversations, we explore topics to help creatives like you make stuff that matters. What is your biggest block when it comes to learning? Share in the comments below when this video is over and join the conversation. If you'd like more creative tips, click the link right here and we'll move on up. When it comes to learning, it can be difficult often for creatives to really flourish and grow in an academic setting. Creatives often love visuals, sounds, sights, rich images, and experimentation. But school often addresses only reading and writing, which is just one form of learning. As a disclaimer, I don't mean to suggest that if you're good in an academic setting, that you're not creative and vice versa. This video is just meant to help people who might be struggling with traditional learning styles. I myself have struggled with school. I didn't graduate from high school. Later I returned to college and graduated, but now as a mature student I've returned to university once again. I can definitely relate to what it's like to not be able to grasp concepts quite as quickly as other students when information kind of gets thrown at you really quickly. And it can be difficult when information is not addressed to your specific learning preferences. Now, these tips that I'm going to include can be applied to anything at any stage of learning, whether you're an adult and want to pick up a new hobby or skill, these can be applied. So I hope they help. Tip 1, substitute your learning. Now, I know that this sounds like more work when you're probably already super busy, but I can't tell you how much this has helped me personally. I even have this book, which is Linguistics for Dummies. I currently have a course that I'm enrolled in, linguistics. It's basically an introductory course, but I was really having difficulty with the way that the professor was explaining things. There's a lot of jargon that I'm not necessarily familiar with, so I had to find a way around that. One of that was getting this book. Now, if you can find another source or person who can phrase things in a different way, that might help with your comprehension. Another great substitute for your learning is available right here, which is the great wonderful world of YouTube. You'd be surprised at how much information is available on here in this search engine. You can find different discourses, lectures, people sharing their own experiences, providing you with exercises, and it's just a great resource, especially if you're an audio or visual learner, because it helps bring concepts to life. If you're in good old school like me, go up to your teacher or professor and ask them for additional resources. They have a plethora of information, and making that connection can actually make you more engaged in your course. Tip 2, write your notes by hand. I kind of felt like an ASMR artist for a second. Now, don't just take any good old notes, take meaningful notes. Try to listen to what the professor is saying and rephrase it in your own way. This will help with your comprehension, and getting it to your own language will help cement that information. Writing it by hand is really important because you're engaging in muscle memory, spatial memory, and you're going to be more involved in the process. If you type things out, you're more likely to be distracted. And I know that this can create a gap in your notes sometimes because you're not able to take things down as quickly. That's why I would recommend also recording. Often when you re-listen to it, you'll catch things that you didn't pay attention to before. Tip 3, flashcards. So flashcards are great because you can pull out really important topics that are in whatever it is that you're studying or trying to learn and get them in a compact area. There's something that you can bring with you wherever you're going and study on the fly. And the more times that you do that, the better it will be, because you're going to be practicing recall, which is getting that information in your brain slowly and pulling it up to the surface, hopefully with the goal of getting it into long-term memory. Now with this, I really recommend drawing images on your flashcards because that will help the information come to life if you're a creative person. Then you can just write a little definition on the flip side. Like right here, I have my own flashcards that I've used for a critical thinking class where we're going over logical fallacies, and I've just written a little picture. There's my little straw man, and it has information on the back. And I just look at the image, I test myself first, and then I look at the definition, only if I need help. Also, you can organize them in a little subcategory with a little note on the top corner or something that gives you an idea of what area of the topic it is, so you're not going through a giant pile of flashcards and you don't know what belongs to what category it belongs to. If you can kind of narrow it down to a category, it'll be a little bit easier for your brain to retain. Tip 4. Do exercises. Sorry if that was really dorky. Whatever it is that you're studying or want to learn, it's possible that there are exercises available online for you to try, or in the textbook that you have, or various books and resources that you want to try out. Look for those exercises. I really recommend doing them. It can help bring concepts out of the abstract and into the real world. Now, tip number 5 is the good old memory palace. This is a technique that goes back to ancient times. I'm not going to take too much time to explain it because I think someone else can explain it a lot better. That is Anthony Metivier, and his channel link will be right here. You can check that out, and hopefully it helps you as much as it has helped me. Tip number 6, tell people what you're learning about. Now, it's no secret, telling people what you're learning about is going to help you. It's going to help you with your recall because you're going to be pulling up that information once again and rephrasing it to someone that you know. Now, you can even turn this into a game or exercise where you are teaching that person as if they were a student of yours, so you can really consider all the details that are required to understand that topic very well. Tip 7 is to identify your weaknesses and address them first. So if you can go through your lecture notes or whatever it is that you're learning and identify areas where you're having trouble comprehending or understanding, that will help you address those first. When you address them first, it's going to be more fresh in your mind. You're going to be more awake and alert. And if you can, avoid cramming like the plague. There's no real use in cramming last minute or trying to recall information when you're really, really tired, because that's not going to consolidate in your brain very well. Especially if you're staying up late to study and missing out on sleep, that is not helpful at all. Your brain needs sleep to be able to consolidate and really latch on to that information. So practice in advance. If you know that you're having a test or quiz come up, mark it on your calendar so you can study days ahead. I know this is not always the most appealing option, but you're going to save yourself a lot of agony in the long term. Identifying your weaknesses is also a really main component of Barbara Oakley's work. One of her courses is titled Learning How to Learn, which is actually one of the most enrolled in online courses on the internet. She talks about how if you're able to identify your main weaknesses and practice deliberately with little distractions, that is a big benefit for your brain to learning. I really recommend checking out her work or her website to be more familiar with her concepts, because I found them very, very helpful. If you're interested in a quick recap, the information and tips will be listed down below in that description box. Don't forget to share what learning tips and techniques work for you. And if you want to cover future blocks, let me know, because I would love to make a video about that in the future. My name's Sarah. If you'd like to participate in more creative conversations, consider subscribing. And until next time, keep making stuff that matters.